live with Sheikh Alfan Al-Aisri on Let's Connect.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to your Ramadan radio program, Let's Connect. This is your host, Reem Awdiya, with the Honorable Sheikh Alfan Al-Aisri, taking us through this journey throughout the month of Ramadan. With us also is the sound engineer, Safiya Al-Habsi. We welcome you to call us at the numbers 24602058. That's 24602058. The other number is 24694315. That's 24694315. Sheikh Alfan, Assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheikh Alfan. Alhamdulillah, yesterday our topic was about marriage.
Yes.
And there were a few points that we also need to touch upon. We didn't have time to continue yesterday. And the key things that you mentioned is that marriage is among the signs of Allah. He created for us mates.
Yes.
And it is supposed to be a source of tranquility, affection, mercy, and support for one another.
Yes.
Using the concept of as garments for each other. You also mentioned when it comes to selecting a spouse to prioritize someone of manners and righteousness and ask about that person and those who interact with that person. And when it comes to men who would desire a woman for her beauty, wealth, family status, and faith, to focus on the woman of faith, of deen, and that is the one who succeeds and is prosperous. You mentioned that a happy marriage has to have acceptance of each other unconditionally, forgiving each other unconditionally, supporting each other unconditionally, and having faith and trust in each other.
Yes.
And I'll later pick up on the word unconditionally, Sheikh Alfan.
Inshallah. Yes.
And you also spoke about the three phases of marriage. First one is the pre-marriage, the courting period, which you called it love is in the air. And everyone is focusing on how I can be here for you. The second phase is when the honeymoon phase is over, reality kicks in, and typically the couple would ask, so what's in it for me?
Yes.
And afterwards, with the children, then the couple would ask, what's in it for the children? And that's typically the phases. And by keeping in mind the elements of a happy marriage, we can sustain the beautiful elements of it. And when we ended yesterday's show, we got a call from Salim.
Yes.
We didn't have time to answer him, so we'll start with his question today.
Yeah. Well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. My preference in the show is not to transform it into a show that we talk about religious ruling, fatwa.
Yes.
So this is not a program of fatwa. The program of fatwa usually takes place on Friday. Nevertheless, because of his question has to do with the other faiths.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was about can a Muslim marry a Jew? Can a Christian?
Yes.
And the answer is that in the Holy Quran, Almighty Allah says, اليوم أحل لكم الطيبات. Today, the goodness of this life, what is good, has been made lawful for you. وطعام الذين أوتوا الكتاب حل لكم. And the food of those who have been given books is also halal for you. And then it continues and talks about also the women of the people of the book. So on that aspect, then yes, Quran says you can marry a Christian. And whether she remains as a Christian or eventually she becomes a Muslim, then both cases, it is permissible for a Muslim to marry a Christian based on the Quran.
Yes.
But I would prefer that we don't get into that route of answering the religious ruling, which is fatwa, because this is not a program of fatwa.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Sheikh Alfan. We'd like to touch upon the elements, the qualities you spoke about of marriage, which are tranquility, affection, mercy, support. And we'd like to look at each element and understand what it means.
Yes.
So let's start with tranquility.
Tranquility, peace. Almighty Allah refers to it as sakan, which is a sukoon, which is something that is still. In other words, total tranquil. Homes is it's meant to be a place where people retreat to. To rest, to rejuvenate, to find affection, to find love, to find support, to find care, to find warmth. It's a place where people can go and be themselves. And because it is so, And because we have other people in that place, I'm not alone, with a wife, maybe with children, maybe with parents sometimes, then the private space or the personal space gets closer. You see, in public, when people meet, they meet at an arm's length.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas at home, that arm's length gets reduced, and then the personal zone is infringed to in a good way.
Okay.
So people do hug each other at home. Parents hug children, children hug parents, husband hugs wife, wife hugs husband.
Mm-hmm.
So that space becomes smaller. Plus, at home, we remove our masks, where in the outer world we tend to act. Some people in the outer world are polite, they are courteous, they're respectful. When they come home, that mask is removed and the true self emerge. And because the true self emerge, sometimes that acting stops and people begin to be themselves. So in being yourselves, Almighty Allah says, make sure you do not go and harm others, you do not hurt others. Be nice, be gentle, make sure that peace, tranquility, harmony is there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how the relationship is. In there, it's not about competing, it's about complementing each other. It's not about hurting each other, it's about supporting each other. It's about giving that love and support all the time. So in that aspect, the word tranquility, if one cannot find it at home because it is so argumentative at home, we say it's no longer a home, it is just a house, it is just a house of bricks, and people are residing there. They haven't found the peaceful moment or the neutral ground for them to be themselves.
It becomes like an hotel check-in.
It becomes like a hotel check-in and check-out, and then all emotions are gone. So be it a husband, be it a wife, be it a mother, be it a father or children, when they go home, they need to find that tranquility, that peace and harmony available all the time. And in the absence of that, then something is drastically wrong. We need to go and find it. So when people ask me, how can you distinguish a good family from a bad one? A happy family from a sad one? A cohesive family from a non-cohesive family, where they have disagreements and argument? I say within 20 to 30 seconds of entering a home, I can say this is a happy home or not a happy home. I only look for one thing. Can you guess what is that one thing?
What is it?
It is laughter.
I see.
Usually happy people have that laugh. They laugh. They smile and they laugh and they have fun.
In good spirit, yeah.
In good spirit. In the absence of laughter, then something is wrong. There is tension. There is misunderstanding. There is differences. There is quarreling. There is a tug of war. There is someone that has been hurt. There is negative emotions. And as a result, laughter goes out of the window. That's why we were told in the Quran, the minute you enter your home, the first thing, irrespective of whether there's somebody or nobody, the first thing you have to do is enter with positive energy. فَإِذَا دَخَلْتُمْ بُيُوتًا Almighty Allah says, فَإِذَا دَخَلْتُمْ بُيُوتًا when you enter homes, فَسَلِّمُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِكُمْ تَحِيَّةً مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ مُبَارَكَةً طَيِّبًا then give each other's greetings. Salam, peace. The word is peace. It's a tahiyya, it is a greeting from Allah. Tahiyyatan min indillah, mubarakatan tayyiba. Blessed and of goodness. So if you have blessed greetings that is full of goodness, what else can you expect?
It's a positive interaction.
So we need to start in entering home, we need to enter with positive energy. Bismillah, assalamu alaikum. That is how we enter homes.
Okay.
And once you say assalamu alaikum, you are proclaiming peace. Therefore, anything that may disturb that peace, that may disturb the tranquility, put it out. Take it out.
Okay.
We can have time for that. We can do it, but first of all, let us allow people to come, sit, settle, rest, have a meal, have a shower, relax, and then once they are in a relaxed mode, we can begin to open some discussions.
Okay, so cater to the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Reminder, listeners, we're currently live in the air. You can call us in at 24602058. The other number is 24694315. So, Sheikh Afan, shouldn't we first find tranquility within us rather than expecting to find it at home?
Yeah, well, as a believer, all the time one has to be at peace as a believer. Excuse me. So being a believer, being at peace with self is a must at all times. It's not a question. It's not an option. It's not should I or should I not. It is a must. Because the other way, it is hurtful, it is harmful to self. And the reason one has to be at self with self is because our daily prayers in themselves, they bring tranquil and peace. Remembrance of Allah brings tranquil and peace. Worshipping Allah, making supplication brings tranquil and peace. Ensuring that one has all the provisions of life because they woke up healthy, with security, peace and stability. They woke up with the provision of the day. That in itself is saying that now I have everything. What else can I do? Individuals have to be promoters of peace.
Yes.
And yes, if you don't have it, you cannot give it. So one has to be indeed at peace with self before they can be at peace with others. And that's why I usually encourage people and encourage myself, the ride going home during that time ought to be the time to close files of work. For better, for worse, whether there were good files or bad files at work. Whether I had arguments or didn't have arguments, whether I had successes or I had setbacks. Whatever has happened, the ride at home ought to be closing the files of work and opening files at home.
Reminder, listeners, you can call us in at 24602058. The other number is 24694315. We'll take a quick break and we'll pick up more on that note.
On the authority of Abu Mas'ud al-Badri, may Allah be pleased with him, who said, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, when a person spends on his family and hopes for compensation from God, he is also seen by God to be giving charity. Bukhari and Muslim.
I love you, Allah.
Live with Sheikh Alfan Al-Aisri on Let's Connect.
Welcome back to your Ramadan radio program, Let's Connect. We're live in the air. You can call us in at 24602058 and also 24694315. Sheikh Afan, before the break, you're mentioning how to first be at peace with self. And you're mentioning how to close the files at work on the way home.
Yes.
Yes.
And indeed. So the question is how to go and have a peace with self. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice because I'm on medication. So be patient with me. To be at peace with self, the Prophet of Islam said, "Man asbaha mu'afan fi jasadi." Anyone who wakes up in the morning and they've got health on their body, they are healthy. Aminan fi sirbi. They are at peace, or they have that security and stability and peace in the community. عنده قوت يومي, and they have has a provision for the day, the food and drink for the day. فكأنما حيزت الدنيا له بحذافيرها. It is as if that person has the wealth and the acquisition of this world and what's in it. Waking without mentality, without mindset, saying that I have everything that I need, already puts me at peace. Because it takes out tranquility, it takes out anxiety, fear, desperation, worries. All of that goes out of the window. And suddenly I realize, you know what? I do have what I need. Therefore I already become pleased with myself and pleased with what I have and pleased with Allah. Then I say, now what else? What can I go and do now to add value? So one becomes already positive. Waking up with a positive mindset is very crucial. So that's why the first thing a Muslim says when he wakes up from bed, or she wakes up from bed, is to say, Alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. Thank Almighty Allah. الذي أحيانا بعدما أتماتنا, the one who revived us after we were dead. وإليه النشور, and to him we return. And to him now we are going to go about and do the affairs and be successful and add value.
Yes.
So with that mindset, then one has to wake up with a mission. And the mission for me today is to add value. The mission for me today is to make a world better. The mission for me today is to spread that positive energy. The least I can do is smile. الابتسامة في وجه أخيك صدقة. Smile at the face of your friend or your brother is a charity. The Prophet of Islam said, الإيمان بضع وسبعون شعبة. Belief is about 70 plus categories. أعلاها لا إله إلا الله. The highest category of faith is there is no one to be worshipped except Allah. وأدناها, and the least of all, is إماطة الأذى عن الطريق, is to remove any harm from the road. So, in other words, anything you can do to make the world better, it's a deed of act. It's an act of deed. It's an act of worship. It's an act of generosity. It's an act of donation to give. It's an act. So anything is charity. So do not waste time in finding opportunities. Be opportunistic and try to make the world better. Whether it is a smile, whether it is sharing knowledge, whether it is an act of removing some harm from the road or the path of the street, whether it is an act of teaching someone, whether it's an act of inventing something, whether it's an act of providing a service, whether it's an act of supporting someone. There are many, many, many opportunities that present themselves every day. And if we fail to capitalize on those opportunities, then we are missing an opportunity to leave a legacy behind and to leave goodness. So, if one does all of that, naturally, not only that person will be positive, but will be at peace with self and will have that positive energy also to go and influence. Because whether you like it, individually our emotions are contagious. If you hang around with people who are negative, you become negative. If you hang around with people who are positive, you become positive.
It impacts.
So it impacts. It's a choice. So one needs to find that positive energy to become the source of that positive energy to go and make other people's life better.
And so that would naturally reflect in a marriage, and the person can be the source of positive energy in the relationship.
Absolutely, definitely, indeed, yeah.
Beautiful. Now let's talk about affection.
Affection. Affection, Almighty Allah refers to it as mawadda. Mawadda, it is an affection based on companionship. So Quran talks about marriage as a companionship. What does companionship mean? It means that two halves have come together to make one. Which means that the role men and women play with each other, the husband and wife, is a role of complementing each other, not competing with each other. In that complementing role, the best way to make it is also to introduce emotions. Emotions where of affection, in other words, we only see the good in the other person. Because, as we know, love is blind. What do they say that love is blind? What do they mean by that? It means that when someone is in love with someone, they only see the positive in that person.
Or you overlook the other elements.
You overlook all shortfalls. And that is what has to be between a husband and wife. Yes, there will be times when you have good days and bad days, when you're in good mood and bad mood. There'll be times when we lose the plot and we get angry, we get, But that ought not to be the norm. That ought to be the exception. So most of the time, the relationship between a husband and wife ought to be based on affection, al-mawadda. Al-mawadda. And that mawadda is that you give before you ask. I should not say, if they do this to me, I'll do this. That's why we say that is why we say it is unconditionally. Don't put conditions in your marriage. If you do that, you'll get tired. Don't say, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. In actual fact, I'm against the word nice, because the opposite of love is being nice to each other.
Can you explain that more?
Yes. You see, with love, you're proactive in trying to support the other person. With love, you are always giving that warm affection to the other person. With love, you give that time, quality time to the other person. So that is love, and that is affection.
Okay.
When love is out of the window, and people knowing that they have to be with each other, and they don't want to be nasty because they have children, suddenly they become nice to each other. Okay, I'll be nice to you, but that's it. And the word nice, actually, the acronym of nice is nothing inside me cares enough.
Nothing inside me cares enough.
Cares enough. N-I-C-E, nice. So don't be nice to your couple. Don't be nice to your spouse. Don't be nice to your children. It means that you have no emotions for them. You're going to be just respectful. You're going to do what you have to do, but that's it. And that is very dangerous. The family is where love has to be there, that affection has to be there, warmth has to be there, caring attitude has to be there, supporting each other has to be there all the time. Because the family is the nucleus of a society. In the absence of a family, you're going to have children who will grow with resentment to society. You're going to have children who will grow without values and principles and morals and conduct and character. Without family, you're going to have children who will want to revenge one way or the other to the society. And we see that statistically, information tells us that children who come from a broken home, from a broken family, usually they have a troubled life. They get into crimes, they get into drugs, they fail in their life, or they have difficulties. Some of them realize later on and then they pick it up, but most of the time they lose the plot and they become bad citizens. So again, make sure that family tie is always strong to ensure it is an umbrella where people can find that protection and be themselves and be supported. Even when they fail, someone is there to pick them up and support them.
Okay. So let's say a couple is at a nice phase. They've lost the emotions. How can that be reintroduced?
There is one way to reintroduce it. It's just to take a piece of paper and say, what is good about this person?
Okay.
If they can't find any goodness, they say, when I was at the courting stage, before marriage, what good did I see in this person? There was a reason. Try to find that reason.
So going back to the courting phase.
Go back to the courting phase, flashback. You will find that there was some goodness in that person.
Okay.
And with time, you lost it or the other person lost it. You get into the routine of life and then you overlooked what is important in life. You began to pay attention to the wrong things. Find that and try to rekindle it to make sure it comes back.
Okay. Lovely. And that brings us to mercy.
Mercy.
Yes.
Mercy, we go in life, and as human beings, we are all weak. And there are moments of weaknesses that we hit. For life is troughs and valleys. Life is all about peaks and valleys. Life is all about up and down. Life is never straight. And there is a saying, it says, when life is straight, you are dead. It's just like a heartbeat. It's just like a heartbeat.
Yes.
It's up and down, up and down, up and down. If it goes flat, it means there is no life. So in life, we're going to have good days and bad days. We're going to have days we have positive energy, days we have negative energy. We're going to have days that we make success, other days we have setbacks. We're going to have days when we are healthy. We're going to have days when we are ill or sick. We're going to have days when the world or the reality hits us very hard and we hit rock bottom. And we're going to have days when, you know, everything is going for us and there is nothing that can go wrong in life.
Like high moments, low moments.
High moments and low moments. Now, when we hit low moments, usually the only people who are there for us unconditionally are the family. We see that in business as an example. In business, when one is successful, everybody wants to be with them. They want to associate with that person because they know they're going to benefit from that success. But when we see when people fail in business, or they stumble in business, or they have setback in business, or they go bankrupt in business, everybody runs away. Because they realize there is no added value, there is no benefits, they cannot gain anything. With the exception is only two. A very good friend and a supporting family. So, a very good question to ask. When you are on your deathbed, when you are on your deathbed, who is going to be around you?
Family, close friends.
Family and close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people we tend to take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We tend to
Yes.
be nasty to them. We tend to be ugly sometimes to them. We tend not to spend quality time with them. We give them the least of our priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're in our life, they cannot get out of our life. Sometimes we see them as a burden. But yet, those are the only people who are going to be with you at your deathbed.
Mm-hmm.
Not other people who are there because they want to gain from you.
Certain benefits,
Yes.
yeah.
And because of that, when we are in those moments, those are the moments to show mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Rahmah. In other words, to provide that support without seeing a benefit out of it.
Mm-hmm.
When we give that support, we give it without seeing the benefit from the other person, without gaining anything. When a spouse, a wife or a husband is there at the time of illness, they actually are the ones who have to go and carry the person, to support the person, but they get nothing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reward. There is no salary.
We have a call, Sheikh Alfan.
We have a call? Okay,
Yes.
let's go.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Who's with us?
My name is Shakil Akbar.
Yes, Shakil.
Welcome, Shakil. How are you?
Sheikh Islam said that love is life. But some experts explain about love that love is lake of sorrows, ocean of tears, valley of death, and end of life. So I think that definition for those people who are unsuccessful in love. Do you agree with this definition?
Can you explain more, Shakil? You said people who are unsuccessful in love?
Lake of sorrow, ocean of tears, valley of death, and end of life.
I don't understand
It's
the
not
question.
clear.
Some experts explain about love this.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I think this is a definition for those people who is loser in love. Do
Okay.
you agree?
Okay, thank you for the question.
Alright.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you, Shakil. So I think he was mentioning about love, some experts, how they define love.
Yeah.
And some are not successful in love.
I know the best thing is that in Islam, in Arabic we say فَاقِدُ الشَّيْءِ لَا يُعْطِي.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have it, you cannot give it to others. People who have low self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
they don't love themselves, and as a result, they cannot love anybody else
Mm-hmm.
because they are bankrupt. They are bankrupt of positive emotions of self-like, of confidence, positive emotions of believing in themselves, positive emotions of seeing what is good in self and in others. And because they don't have that, they cannot give it.
Yes.
That's why you see people who are depressed,
Mm-hmm.
people who are guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It is others who try to give them energy. It is others who try to support them because they have nothing to give.
Yeah.
So they suck the energy from others to try and survive. So with love, it is the same thing. People who don't have that self-esteem, they cannot go and become suddenly good lovers. They cannot come be there and be good supporters. People with so low self-esteem, they cannot even add value to anybody
Mm-hmm.
because they cannot add value to themselves.
They feel deprived.
They feel deprived, they feel bankrupt, they feel worthless.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that mindset and that attitude and that thinking, they believe they are worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are worth nothing, they are worth of giving nothing. They cannot give anything. Whether it is love, whether it is attention, whether it is support, whether it is care, whether it is even doing a service, they feel that they can do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing they can do is be passive and just sit there.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot even serve themselves. They cannot go and get themselves a drink. Someone has to bring them that drink. Someone has to bring them food. Someone has to take care of them to go and take a shower. Someone has to drive them around. Someone has to take them to hospital. They become so dependent that they give nothing.
They're just
So
taking.
that is the worst case scenario where self-esteem is absolutely at its rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is that if you want our children to be loving, if you want our parents or our spouse to be loving, the first thing we need to go is to protect their self-esteem.
Okay.
How to protect their self-esteem is to let them know what they are good at. And hammer the message of positive, what are they good at? Rather than keep on saying what they are not good at. Because as human beings, we are very good at identifying what is wrong with people and telling them.
So praising the good things that they do.
Praising the good thing and overlooking the shortfalls or the wrong things. Yes, some wrong things need to be fixed. Specifically, if they get repeated and they eventually become habits, it could be detrimental to them. So we need to go and fix it. But most of the time, we need to go and let them know what they're good at. Whatever small gesture they make, let us praise them, let us thank them, let us reward them with a kind word, with a pat on the back, with a smile, or even with a gift. And that way the self-esteem goes up. The more self-esteem goes up, the better we can get out of them. The more we can get out of them. So we see that classically as good coaches. Good coaches do that to their coachees. Good mentors do that to their mentees. They always find what's good in them, and they always try to praise it and bring it forth. And that is what the Prophet of Islam did with his companions. He was always praising the good in them and encourage them to give more, to do more with that goodness that they have. Whether it is a talent, whether it is a skill, whether it is a gesture, whether it is wealth that they have or knowledge they have, whatever they have, how to give with whatever they have.
So they appreciate who they are to appreciate others.
Indeed, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Shaki, for calling in. And the point before that you were mentioning is about showing support, giving support without expecting anything in return.
Yes.
I think that links to the unconditionally understanding.
Absolutely.
Reminder callers, the number to call in is 24602058. The other number is 24694315. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more.
On the authority of Salman bin Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, who said, "The Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, said, giving charity to the poor is charity, and giving to a relative amounts to two good deeds, i.e. charity and benevolence to kinsmen." At-Tirmidhi.
I love you, Allah.
Live with Sheikh Al-Fadl Al-Aisri on Let's Connect.
Welcome back to your Ramadan radio program, Let's Connect. We're live in the air. You can call us in at 24602058, and the other number is 24694315. Shahafan, you've touched upon the concept of arguments,
Yes.
which can be the element that can break a marriage.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how oftentimes it's little matters, trivial things that pile up, become eventually frustrations, irritations.
Yes.
So how can a couple deal with arguments from the very beginning?
I think at the outset of marriage, they need to agree on how they're going to resolve their differences. So there ought to be a system. We see in organizations, for example, you have systems that are available where one can go and plead, where one can go and it's called a grievance, for example, a grievance system or procedure, where one can put forth the request and that they've been wronged and how it can be fixed. In marriage is the same thing. It's good to establish signals or a system to say when things go wrong, how do we resolve our issues? As an example, couple could agree that every time we differ or something that annoys us, we only get to resolve that in bedroom. Not in front of children, not in front of guests, not in front of anybody. Or it could be, you know what? No, we don't want our bedroom to be the place where we bring in the negative energy. When that happens, we will text each other. Or when that happens, we will wait, we'll get into the car, go somewhere, have a fight in the car, and then not fight in the sense of a physical fight, but our mental and word, and we sort it out. When we finish, we come back. Somebody once said to me, a better
we have
idea.
a call,
We have a call,
Shafan,
okay?
and we'll go back to that point.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
What's your good name?
Yeah, my name is Mubashir. Is this the 90.4 FM?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Right.
You're live in the air.
Oh, right. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa
Alaikum
barakatuh. Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Alaikum, madam.
Alhamdulillah.
I was just listening. I guess, I'm a bit late on calling because you've come to the another topic, I was listening to your topic of, giving feedback and telling of, of positive things and negative things.
Yes.
What I had a thing was, it's not always correct to give, positive things because, that can build an air of someone else. So, I was in corporate in India and I had a team of around 50 people. And, that's where you need to give feedback and you need to tell them their, shortcomings. So there was a thing that I developed there, which is a sandwich, way of giving feedback and telling them how good they are. Which is sandwiches, like, you tell them the good points, and then you tell them their shortcomings, and then again, give them their positive things. So which is, in between the positive, you give them the negative. So which is there to treat the positive and to act on the negative. So it's like always giving someone positive is not good, and always giving him something negative is also not good. So it should be, a balance between a positive and a negative.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't catch your name. What is your name?
My name is Mubashir.
Mubashir. Okay. Thank you, Mubashir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you, sir.
calling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we'll get to that point, Sheikh Afan.
Yeah.
You were mentioning how
Yeah.
establishing signals.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
A couple once shared with me, they said, we made an agreement with my spouse, with my wife. Anytime we have to resolve an issue, we'll go to a public area, like
Okay.
a restaurant or a cafe. Because we know there we have to be polite.
Yes,
We
public
can-
place.
Public place. So we sit there at a table having a meal, and then we discuss. And because between us there is a table, and it's full of food, etc., and people are watching us, and then the way we present our problem, first of all, we lower our voice. We don't shout. 2, we don't use bad language. 3, we don't use bad signs. Yeah, with like frowning or using
Your
hands,
body image.
threatening body language. So we learned the only place that we can control our emotions and our physical movements and control our words and control the tone of our voice is in a public area. So we made an agreement.
Okay.
Every time we have an issue, for example, she will say, can we have dinner tonight at the restaurant? Immediately I know that there is something wrong, we need to go and fix it. Can we have coffee at this place? I'll be waiting for you to have coffee at this place. Please meet me there. And they agree on a time and they go and do that. And they say that we found that way, number 1, we do not bring the negative energy to our homes.
Okay.
Number 2, we avoid being rude to each other and being nasty to each other. Number 3, we learn to be not only polite, but courteous, respectful. And in there, we also learn to be good listeners. We listen to each other because we are forced to listen to each other. And that way we find that when you come back home, all is resolved, all is okay, things are squared. The culmination of it, the icing of the cake, is about being able to apologize. And that is one thing that a lot of people have difficulties with.
Apologizing.
So he told me, he said, we agreed also.
Okay.
If the other person has a good case, and yes, one didn't make a mistake, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is to apologize.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just because the other person misunderstood. So if the person who misunderstood the issue and made an issue out of nothing, then that person who misunderstood will also apologize.
Putting ego aside and just...
Putting the ego
Yes,
aside.
yes.
It says that way, we found that is the best way to try and resolve issues. So answering your question, arguments, you need to create a system and agree to that system with a few rules in that system that both parties agree to follow the system. Yeah, few things is that number 1, we have to be good listeners.
Okay.
Number 2, whoever is wrong has to apologize. Number 3, when the issue is closed, we do not open the subject again.
We don't keep an archive.
Yes, we put it to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, we try not to repeat the mistake time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
And number 5, in presenting the case and in listening to the case, let us remember to be courteous, to be respectful, to use the proper language, not to try and put the other person totally down to make them truly feel guilty all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So if we can abide by these 5, then I think it's a good system to establish around.
So being a good listener,
Yeah.
apologizing if wrong, putting the topic to rest once
Yes.
resolved, trying not to repeat same mistakes, and to be courteous
Absolutely.
to each other. Beautiful. Let's touch upon now Mubashar's comment about giving feedback. So he said it's the challenge is when you give feedback about the shortcomings.
Yes.
Yes.
You see, when we try to give feedback, if it is good feedback, then we ought to direct it to the person directly. It is you.
Mm-hmm.
You are good at this. You do this well. Yeah, I have noticed that you have this.
We have a call, Sheikh Afan.
Another
we'll get
call?
back to that.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll come back to that. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Fine, thank you. السلام عليكم شيخ خلفان.
وعليكم السلام, Brother Hatim.
كيف حالك?
Alhamdulillah.
I have a question
Yeah.
about resolving issues between couples.
Yes.
Normally when there is an issue between couples, the man tends to resolve to the caveman theory, which means that he goes to sleep and he thinks about it, and the second day he becomes fresh.
Yes.
And not really frustrated about it.
Yeah.
But for women, they want to discuss about it immediately. So how does the couple resolve this issue between the caveman theory and the immediate response to the problem?
Okay, good question.
Thank you
Jazakallah
very
khair.
much. Shukran. Thank you for calling. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about the feedback, then we'll get to Hatim's.
Yeah, inshallah. So with feedback, the good thing is that if it is positive, directly to the person immediately. If it is negative feedback, do not direct it to the person, talk about a behavior. So you need to distinguish between a person and behavior.
Could you give an example of that?
Example.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, someone is late at work.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, we need to go and fix that person being late at work.
Mm-hmm.
So first, and I like what Mubashir talked about, good, bad,
Yes.
and then good.
Yes, the sequence.
So we need to follow that sequence.
Yes.
So you say to that person, you have so many good qualities in you.
Mm-hmm.
You are good at your work, and whatever that quality the person has, you are respectful, and you are loyal to this working environment, and people are happy to be with you, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, with this beautiful person that is in front of me, this beautiful character that you have, there is one behavior that does not fit this person.
Yeah.
For example, the behavior of coming late does not suit you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say you are late. I say
Yes.
coming late does not suit you.
Detaching from the person.
Detaching, yeah? And actual fact, coming late is a quality of people who are failures, and you are not a failure.
Mm-hmm.
You are a successful person. So this does not fit you. So in other words, I try to disengage between the person and the behavior. And then in coming to concluding the topic, I put my expectation. And my expectation of you, you will overcome. You can overcome the issue of coming late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can overcome it. So I put that in competition with his own behavior. You can overcome the issue of coming late. And I expect you to be on time because I know you can do it.
You can be better.
You can be better.
Excellent.
It is totally different to telling a person, you are always late and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is attacking immediately. And the minute you attack a person, ego kicks in and they become defensive. And sometimes they want to continue to do whatever you tell them not to do. Because it becomes like a challenge. And they like the challenge. You don't like it, I'm going to show you.
They feel attacked.
They feel attacked in that way.
Excellent.
Now if you come back to Hatim's question, Brother Hatim.
Yes, very good question.
Again, it's all about a system.
Mm-hmm.
If the husband says, if you see me angry, and this is what happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you see me, and this is what we do, for example, in my own home. We agreed with my wife. We said, specifically now with the medicine that I'm taking,
Yes.
I've already been pre-warned by doctors, but my mood sometimes can swing because of the medication. So we agreed on a system. If they see me angry, agitated, unhappy, is to keep silent.
Okay.
Is to give me my space.
Mm-hmm.
Is not to answer back. Just keep quiet and leave me alone. Half an hour later, 1 hour later, after resting a bit or after sleeping, whatever, when I wake up in the morning, it's all gone.
Okay.
And when it's all gone, we don't even talk. It says, yesterday, wow, man, you are in a bad mood. Don't say that. Just let it go. As if nothing happened. We agreed on that. The opposite is also true. When my wife has got an issue and she wants to discuss it, she'll just try to find the day that I'm okay. And she'll just come and say, you know what, do you have time? Listen, do you have time? Can we talk? Then I know, when she mentions those two words, do you have time, can we talk? Then I know she wants my undivided attention. Whatever I'm doing, I'll put my phone on silent, put my iPad aside. I said, okay, let us talk. And whatever when she's talking, all I have to do is just sit there and listen. She doesn't want an answer.
Yeah.
She just wants someone to listen. And then in between I would say, okay, I've heard you now. What would you like to do next? I throw the question back. What would you like to do next? What is your desire? How would you go about it? What support do you need? Basically, I don't give answers. I don't give solutions. I avoid giving solutions.
Nor defensive.
Not being defensive, but at the same time, I don't give any solutions. She has to come with solutions. And that way we found that system works.
Okay.
Yeah? So again, going back to the questions of Brother Hatim, the couple need to agree. To agree on a system. And then both of them need to abide by that system. In the absence of a system, every time it's a guesswork.
Yes.
We don't know.
Thank you, Hazim, for that question. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back.
Live with Sheikh Al-Fadl Aisri. On Let's Connect.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Let's Connect. We have a call on air. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Ahlan bik. What's your good name?
This is Hisham al-Absalam.
Hisham al-Salam. Ahlan bik.
كيف حالك شيخ الفان؟
الحمد لله.
بارك عليكم الشيخ.
وانتم كذلك بارك الله فيكم.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
If there is a communication problem between the man and their wife,
yes,
and they are like not on the same page,
yes.
You know? So is it healthy to involve a third party to solve their problems?
Yeah, good question.
Very good question.
Inshallah. We'll answer that inshallah.
Thank you, Hisham.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Hisham. Good question. Yeah, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that there are stages of trying to resolve issues. With women, for example, Almighty Allah says to women, وَإِنِ امْرَأَةٌ خَافَتْ مِنْ بَعْلِهَا نُشُوزًا أَوْ إِعْرَاضًا. When a woman fears that the husband is either nushuz, which is she fears from her husband that he is moving away from the marital requirement, obligations, fulfilling that contract, أو إعراضا, or he's turning his back onto her, he in other words not dedicating himself to serving her. And this is one thing we have to remember. In Islam, a man serves a woman. الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are providers of women, so they are serving women. So men need to understand this.
Which gets misunderstood.
Misunderstood a lot. So if she fears the husband is moving away from the marital requirement, or he's turning his back onto her, he's not serving her, فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِمَا, then there is no harm, أَنْ يُصْلِحَا بَيْنَهُمَا صُلْحًا, that they find an arbitrator to try and mediate between the two, and to try and bring solution and a resolution as well between them.
Okay.
So yes, in Islam it's a requirement. Another verse Almighty Allah says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا, and you fear, if the community fears that the two can no longer, as Hisham puts it, they cannot communicate, they're not on the same page.
Yes.
If you fear that is going to lead to shiqaq, which is them separating or going different directions, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعْثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا, then send forth an arbitrator from his family, an arbitrator from her family.
So both families.
From both families. The two are facilitators. Their job is to try and mediate between them to make it work. In yurida islaha, if the two arbitrators, if the two counselors wanted to make it work, يوفق الله بينهما, then Almighty Allah is going to support them to make it successful, that the two again see each other and face to face, and they understand each other, and they come back together. But the main thing is that now the outside influence that comes in, their job is to try to find a way to resolve the issue, to bring resolution, and for the couple to see what is good in marriage rather than what is bad. Sometimes, unfortunately, these mediators who come there, they take side. So from the husband side, they take the side of the husband. From the wife's side, they take wife's side. And that is wrong. The two have to be neutral.
So how can they select the right person?
Selecting is all about selecting, again, people who are wise, people who are conscious, people who are conscious of Allah, people who are righteous, people who fear Allah. They will not go and do harm. Because now the instruction is from Almighty Allah. And in actual fact, a story is narrated that the second Khalifa, Umar, at one time a similar situation happened. A couple wanted to separate because they didn't see eye to eye. So the Khalifa Umar said, can you bring me a representative from both families? So he said to the couple, I want a representative from your family and from your family. And when they came, then Umar instructed, commissioned and appointed and gave them a mandate to these two representatives to go and make the marriage work. He says, you go and fix the marriage.
Already having that intention.
It's a mandate. It was a mandate. Go and fix the marriage of these two. They went. After a while, they came back and says, we tried everything we could. It didn't work. So then Khalifa ordered for these two to be lashed. The mediators, the counselors. He says they need punishment. He says one of the two is a liar. Either you're a liar or Allah is a liar, and Allah cannot be a liar. Allah says, "In yurida islahan yuwaffiq Allahu baynahuma." If the two of you had the intention to make it work, it would have worked. But you went there with wrong intentions. So you did not fulfill your duty. You were not fit for that responsibility that I gave you. So here you are. So yes, Brother Hisham, in Islam it's always encouraged to bring an extended family to get involved in an issue before it escalates to become very serious.
And how about outside of the family?
Even outside of the family. Sometimes the couple put their trust in a particular person, that both of them respect that person. It could be a religious figure, it could be a celebrity, it could be someone who is a counselor, someone who is a psychologist, someone who is a doctor, someone who is only a friend to the family.
It could be Sheikh Hassan. Many times.
It could be anybody. So as long as they have trust on that person and they say, we would like you to mediate between us, then that person ought to take it as an obligation and as an honor before it is a pleasure to go and do that. And that is good. As an example, when I was driving today to work, a lady called me. She said, I am now reaching about 39 years old. And every time somebody come to propose, my parents refuse. They find excuses. And I can understand why parents refuse. But that is another topic altogether. But she says, look, I cannot continue like this. And then the man did come forth, and my parents agreed, but later on now they're hesitant about it. So the agreement was, just send me your number and we'll try to find good people, and they will try to come and convince your parents to go and make it work. And this is what we have to do sometimes, because we don't see eye to eye and we become unjust to the other person. For example, with this parents, I can understand that they fear losing their daughter. And it happens a lot in this community in Oman and in the Muslim world, in the Arab world specifically. The parents sometimes don't want their children to get married because they know if they get married, they're going to be snatched from them by the person who they get married to. The attention is going to shift quality time is going to shift. Support is going to shift. And the fear that they'll be alone. But it's part of life. Life has to move on. We cannot deny these people having the normal life and marital life because we are selfish. We have to allow them. So that's going to be the message to these parents.
Yes. And it brings us the point of family interference.
Yes. Family interference happens a lot. And sometimes it happens for good reasons, other times it happens for bad reasons. And in the old days, certainly before my age, and a little bit of my early days in life, we saw 3 generations in a house.
Okay.
Parents and the children, and children also who got married, the grandchildren who got married.
Okay.
So we saw 3 generations in one house. And the reason behind it is that sometimes wisdom gained by the elders is so invaluable that you cannot do without it. And usually grandchildren are closer to their grandparents more than they are to their parents. They can open up. So you see, when grandchildren being there, they are the ones then who can have that mentorship role to the grandchildren, to speak to them at low moments, to encourage them at good moments, and to support them, to praise them. At the same time, to confide to the secrets of life, that way. And when they see things wrong, they can fix them.
So positive.
It's positive. So having an extended family living together has always had its own benefits and its own merits. Today we see youngsters who are just graduates from universities or from colleges. They get married and they become independent.
And sometimes it's the fear of interference.
Yes. And when they do that, whenever they have problems, there is no one to interfere, to intervene. There is no one there to fix things before they escalate. And sometimes by the time you get to know it, it has already become so sour with so many wounds, be it emotional wounds, psychological wounds, physical wounds, before either one speaks out. And by then, damage has already been done, and to go and fix that damage takes more time and needs more energy.
Yes. So Sheikh Affan, as we wrap up, what would be your advice for those who are finding difficulty in getting married?
Marriage is a wonderful thing. Do not be scared of marriage. That's the first thing. Okay. It's a wonderful thing. It's a bliss. But make sure you select a wife or a husband for a good reason. Not for their looks, not for their wealth, not for their money, not for their status. But the first thing, look for 2 things. Look for religion and look for character. Religion, because if these people fear Allah and they are in peace with Allah, they can certainly be with peace with you. Yes. In other words, look at for mannerism, for character, and look for values. Because being with Allah is all about values. It's about subscribing to highest moral values. So anyone who can do that can be a good person. At least if they don't love you, they will not hurt you, they will not harm you. Because they'll have that fear. Their conscience will always be acting. Beyond that is that you are there to complement each other, not to compete with each other. And remember the 4 things. Unconditional support, unconditional acceptance, unconditional forgiveness, and then unconditional trust in each other. Doing so, you stand a good chance of having a good marriage.
Inshallah. And on that beautiful positive note, thank you very much, Sheikh Affan.
Thank you
for your insights. We come to the end of our show, Let's Connect. We'll be back tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Repeats 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. You can also find the episodes at facebook.com/321connect. From all of us here, Salamu Alaikum with peace and love.